AI spent years trapped in a chatbox. Now it wants to sit on your face. And somehow, that is not even the weirdest part. For the last few years, we have been talking to artificial intelligence like it is a very smart customer service agent locked inside a rectangle. We type a question, it types back. We ask for an email. It gives us 3 versions, one of them always weirdly too enthusiastic. Thank you, robot intern. But that version of AI has a problem. It cannot really see your life. It does not know the street you are standing on. It does not know the product in your hand. It does not know that you are lost in an airport pretending to understand the signs while walking confidently in the wrong direction like a business-class salmon. So now AI wants out of the box, not into a robot body, not into a spaceship, not into a dramatic glowing orb on your desk. It wants glasses. Because glasses are not just another gadget. Glasses live on the border between your mind and the world. They sit on your face, quietly asking the most valuable question in technology. What are you looking at? That is why smart glasses are suddenly back. Not because humanity finally decided that camera sunglasses were fashionable. We did not all wake up and say, you know what society needs? More men filming lunch from nostril height. Smart glasses are back because AI finally gave them a job. The smartphone became powerful because it was always with you. AI glasses could become powerful because they are always pointed at your life. And that difference is enormous. A phone waits for your thumb. Glasses wait for your world. The first time smart glasses arrived, they felt like a warning from a future nobody had asked for. Google Glass appeared in the early 2000s, looking like something worn by a software engineer who had just discovered kombucha and moral superiority. It had a camera. It had a tiny display. It had voice commands. It had that magical Silicon Valley confidence that says, people will definitely enjoy being stared at by a forehead computer. They did not. Google Glass became less of a product and more of a social experiment in how quickly one object can make an entire room uncomfortable. The nickname practically wrote itself, Glasshole. Restaurants banned it. Bars hated it. People worried about being recorded. And underneath all the jokes was a serious truth. Wearable cameras do something smartphones do not. A phone recording you is visible. Someone has to lift it up, aim it, commit to being annoying. Glasses are different. They make recording look like eye contact. That is a psychological problem, not just a technical one. Because humans understand faces. We read them constantly. A face tells us if someone is listening, judging, flirting, lying, bored, or mentally choosing what to eat later. Put a camera on that face, and suddenly the oldest social interface in human history becomes a data collection device. That is why the first smart glasses failed emotionally before they failed commercially. The technology was early, the battery was limited, the use cases were unclear. But the deeper issue was simple. Nobody knew whether they were having a conversation or becoming content. Then Snap tried its own version with spectacles. These were less corporate cyborg and more fun person at a music festival who may own a tiny drone. They were colorful, playful, and sold through vending machines, because apparently the future of computing briefly passed through a yellow box. And even that did not become mainstream. The problem was still the same. Smart glasses were cameras looking for a reason to be on your face. But now, the reason has arrived. AI does not just want input. It wants context. A chatbot can answer, "What is the best wine for pasta?" But glasses can look at the bottle in your hand, notice the price tag, hear you whisper, "I am not paying that," and suggest something that will not financially ruin your carbonara. A chatbot can translate a phrase. Glasses can hear the person in front of you, translate in real time, and help you avoid nodding politely while accidentally agreeing to buy 6 lamps. A chatbot can summarize a document. Glasses can look at the paper on your desk and say, "This is the important part. Also, please stop pretending you read page 7. That is the new platform shift. The battle is not about putting a phone screen on your face. That would be tragic. Humanity already spends enough time staring into glowing rectangles like Victorian children seeing electricity for the first time. The real battle is about removing the friction between needing help and asking for it. With a phone, you must stop your life to use the computer. Pull it out, unlock it, open the app, type the thing, get distracted by a message. Somehow end up watching a raccoon steal cat food. Realize 15 minutes have passed. With glasses, the promise is different. You keep living, and the computer comes along quietly. That is why companies are suddenly taking this seriously again. Smart glasses without displays have surged. Snap has launched expensive new AR specs. Meta is pushing Ray-Ban-style AI glasses. Google is circling the category again. Qualcomm wants its chips inside the next generation of spatial devices. Eyewear companies are not just making frames anymore. They are becoming landlords for your attention. And that is the real smartphone threat. Not that glasses will replace the phone tomorrow. They probably will not. The phone is too useful, too familiar, too socially accepted. It is the Swiss Army knife of modern anxiety. But the phone's greatest advantage is also its weakness. It lives in your pocket. Your pocket is not where your life happens. Your life happens in front of your eyes. The next platform war is not for your pocket. It is for your point of view. This is where smart glasses become fascinating and also deeply uncomfortable. Because the best version of this technology is genuinely helpful. Imagine a visually impaired person using AI glasses to read signs, identify objects, navigate public spaces, or understand a room more independently. That is not a gimmick. That is dignity with a battery. Imagine a mechanic seeing repair instructions while looking directly at an engine. A nurse getting hands-free information without turning away from a patient. A traveler reading signs in another language. A parent cooking dinner while the glasses quietly explain why the sauce has become a crime scene. There is a beautiful version of this future. But there is also a version where every dinner table has one person wearing a device that may or may not be listening, recording, analyzing, storing, training, improving, optimizing, and generally doing all the verbs that make privacy lawyers age in dog years. This is the strange part. Smart glasses become more useful the more intimate they become. A smartwatch knows your heart rate. A phone knows your habits. Glasses know your gaze, and gaze is powerful. What you look at reveals what you want, what you fear, what confuses you, what attracts you, what you are considering buying, and what you are pretending not to notice. Advertising companies have spent decades trying to guess attention. Smart glasses could measure it from the bridge of your nose. That is not automatically evil, but it is not small. The most powerful computer is not the one with the biggest screen. It is the one that knows what you are looking at. This is why the privacy debate will not go away. And honestly, it should not. Because the issue is not just, can I trust the person wearing the glasses? The issue is, can I trust the company behind the person wearing the glasses? With a phone camera, social rules evolved. Slowly, painfully. Aunt Linda still records fireworks vertically for 9 minutes, but we have made progress. With glasses, the rules are still being written. Is a recording light enough? What if people do not notice it? What if it can be covered? What happens in hospitals, schools, bathrooms, offices, protests, dates, churches, therapy rooms, or awkward family brunches where everyone is already emotionally wearing body armor? And what about bystanders? The person wearing the glasses may consent. The person being seen may not. That is the core tension. Wearables are intimate for the user, but invasive for everyone nearby. This is not a reason to ban the future. It is a reason to design it like adults are in the room. Good AI glasses will need obvious recording signals, real on-device processing, strong deletion controls, no sneaky training defaults, no facial recognition creep, clear rules for sensitive places, and maybe most importantly, a culture where taking out your face computer is not considered normal in every human moment. Because some moments should not be optimized. Some conversations are allowed to be inefficient. Some memories are allowed to be unrecorded. Some dinners should remain between humans, not humans, plus a cloud model quietly learning how your uncle chews. But here is the second strange part. Even with all the privacy concerns, smart glasses may succeed because they solve a problem smartphones created. The phone gave us infinite access, but it also made us physically ridiculous. We walk through cities staring down, we eat with people while glancing at notifications. We hold maps like sacred tablets. We watch concerts through screens while the actual concert happens behind the screen, patiently waiting for civilization to recover. Smart glasses promise to fix that by letting us look up again. That is the marketing dream. Technology that makes you more present. But the danger is obvious. It may only make distraction more invisible. A phone makes distraction rude. Glasses could make it polite. Imagine talking to someone who appears to be listening, but is actually reading messages, getting AI-generated talking points, checking your LinkedIn, and receiving a live confidence score on the conversation. That is not presence. That is multitasking wearing Ray-Bans. So the question is not, will smart glasses replace smartphones? The better question is, what kind of human behavior will they make normal? Every major device does this. The TV changed the living room. The PC changed work. The smartphone changed boredom. Social media changed status. Smart glasses could change attention itself. They could make help feel ambient. They could make memory searchable. They could make knowledge feel like a quiet whisper in your ear. And they could make being observed feel ordinary. That is the trade. Convenience almost never arrives alone. It brings a little suitcase full of consequences and says, "Do not worry, I am just staying for the weekend." Then, 10 years later, it owns the house. The smartest companies understand this. That is why they are not selling smart glasses as surveillance eyewear. They are selling them as freedom. Freedom from screens. Freedom from typing. Freedom from missing the moment. Freedom from not knowing. And that is a powerful emotional pitch. Because deep down, people do not want more devices. They want less friction, less confusion, less embarrassment, less feeling stupid in public. AI glasses whisper, "You do not have to know everything. Just wear something that does." That is seductive. It is also a little terrifying, because once intelligence becomes wearable, it becomes social. It changes not just what you can do, but how other people feel around you. A smartphone is a tool you use. Smart glasses are a tool other people experience. That is why this comeback matters. The first smart glasses era asked, "Can we put a computer on your face?" The new era asks, "Can we put an AI between you and reality?" And that is much bigger. Maybe the smartphone survives for decades. Maybe glasses stay niche. Maybe Snap's expensive specs become a developer toy. Maybe Meta wins the fashion battle. Maybe Google returns with the ecosystem. Maybe Apple waits, watches, and then arrives late with a product called Vision Air Pro Max Face Edition for the price of a used hatchback. But the direction is clear. AI needs senses. It needs cameras, microphones, spatial awareness, and context. It needs to know not just what you ask, but where you are when you ask it. It needs to understand your world in real time. And the most obvious place to put that machine is exactly where humans already put their attention: on the face. So, yes, AI glasses are the smartphone's weirdest threat. Not because they will instantly replace the phone, but because they attack the phone's deepest habit: the need to look down. The future may not be a screen you hold. It may be a lens you forget you are wearing. And that is the final twist. The most important smart glasses will not be the ones that look futuristic. They will be the ones that disappear, not physically, socially. The moment people stop asking, "Are you recording me?" and start asking, "Which model are those?" the platform has won. That is how technology takes over, not when it becomes impressive, when it becomes boring. The smartphone won when pulling it out at dinner became normal. Smart glasses win when wearing a camera on your face becomes boring. And maybe that is the line worth remembering. The future does not arrive when technology becomes powerful. It arrives when people stop finding it weird. So the real question is not whether AI wants eyes. It does. The question is whether we are ready to live in a world where the eyes belong to everyone, the memory belongs to the cloud, and the most ordinary pair of glasses in the room may be the smartest person there. If this made you look at your phone, your glasses, or that one coworker with suspiciously thick frames a little differently, subscribe, like the video, and share it with someone who enjoys sounding smart and mildly paranoid at lunch. Because the next computer may not be in your hand. It may already be looking right back at you.
Bah.